the drop, you can't ignore it. I'm transforming now these cars and planes, I'm always boarding. Just out touring down in Charlotte like I play for Hornets. When I'm performing, never boring, now you can't afford it. Champagne Perrier, finished friends on my face. Looking like I'm from the deep, these no Cartiers. Pockets deep, 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 bro. I can make it in my seat, bro. Do you, I'm doing me, bro. Making noise, use a beat, bro. Whoa, I press the button and the doors go off like, whoa. That money clip us now, the new now looks like, whoa. Upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Neighborhood on the scene, neighborhood on the strip. Neighborhood be the name, neighborhood no crib. Neighborhood that's me, neighborhood that's Nick. Neighborhood do the dance, neighborhood do the deal. Okay, thought I'd never make it like no way. I'm the real deal, no role play. My days off, that's no days. No, I hustle hard, young rose. E be the shooter, that's cold case. Those on the deals, that's brose. Got no pay, on no say. Okay, this the news, tell them read it. Been the one since the fetus. Don't sleep on me, Tempur-Pedic. That's a no, no, no. Spending dope for no reason. Got a ball head, Mr. Cleaner. Heard the big bags overseas, then we gon' go, go, go. Whoa, I press the button and the doors go off like, whoa. That money clip us now, the new now looks like, whoa. Upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I press the button and the doors go off like, whoa. That money clip us now, the new now looks like, whoa. Upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like, whoa, whoa.
Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on, everybody? Let me know how you guys are tonight. How are you? It is good to see everybody again on another edition of Sir Hale Speaks in the evening. What's going on, everybody? How are you tonight? I feel like I'm lagging tonight. Y'all gonna have to help me wake up. Good to see everybody tonight. Glad that you guys are here. Let me click this. And let's show some love. Salute to Lady Navoa, who is in the building. Good to see you tonight. Guys, let me know if you guys can hear me pretty well. I switched some things up, and I want to make sure that we're good. And this is one of those streams tonight, everybody, that I'm not going to be on here for very long, but it's going to be a powerful stream, a powerful conversation. So, guys, do me a favor. If you're just coming in, be sure to hit the like button. That's the first thing. The second thing is there is a share option on this YouTube stream. As we approach the holidays, I want to tap into some things that are uncomfortable, but that are necessary for families to heal. And we're going to talk about something that all of us have heard tonight, but I need you guys' help to get the message out there. Will you guys help me? As you like this stream, be sure to like this and share it out to just one person and let them know to jump on this stream. It's going to be a deep conversation, perhaps triggering, but it's a necessary conversation that we're going to have tonight. All right, salute to Lady Hale. What is going on with you, baby? What's going on with you, baby? Good to see you, Braves Club. Good to see you tonight. Glad that you are here. Justin Drill, what's going on with you? Good to see you tonight. Good to see you. Good to see you. Joseph White, what's going on with you? Good to see you, man. Hope that all is well with you. Eugene Steele is in the building. What's going on with you, sir? Very glad that you are here. Yeah, guys, again, so it's going to be a deep conversation. It's going to be a deep conversation. Some interesting things have been happening these last couple of weeks. As you guys have saw, I have been working on between Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Sir Hale has been putting in some work. There's I don't know if it's inspiration or it's drive or whatever you want to call it, but the messages that we've been talking about have been resonating with a lot of different people. And depending on which platform, I've noticed that turn the face up. Yeah, depending on which platform, you get to hear different perspectives. I did a TikTok live the other day, and regardless of platform, it seems like there is a connection in the issues that we have. So one of the interesting things that happened this week is a couple of my videos kept getting reported, and I found it really interesting that the videos that kept getting reported had to do with either women wanting leadership or something of that nature. I kept getting reported for hateful behavior. And I thought that was interesting. And it made me think of that in the state of relationships as it is now, that there is a difficulty with hearing truth. And so tonight, this might be triggering for some. So I'm warning you guys now that tonight we're talking about when men have to heal from mama. When men have to heal from mama. Now, I know some of the men who will watch this now live and those who will watch this later, it's a very difficult conversation to approach because everybody wants to make sure that we are protecting the people that we love. Good evening to you, Don. Good to see you. So glad that you're here. Thanks for being over here. Really glad to see you. And so these kind of conversations can be very triggering because if the person who's speaking is not careful in how they articulate and the person that's receiving is not careful how they receive, then the conversation can go to hell in a handbasket. And we end up leaving the conversation more broken and frustrated and almost makes you say, I shouldn't have said anything to begin with. So tonight I want to avoid this and I'm going to approach this and I'm going to talk about some truthful things. And my hope that those of you who are listening, that you guys will hear this with an open mind, with an open heart, and know that this is coming from a place of love. A difficult conversation, but it is coming from a place of love. So you guys have been with me for quite some time now on the Sir Hale Speaks. When I was just Sir Hale Speaks, and then it became Sir Hale Speaks Network, you guys have been with me. And so you know that relationships are the central thing that I talk about. And in talking about dating and relationships, and I've been doing this for a while. I wrote my book that I've shown you guys. It's on my website. I wrote that in 2015, and I had started this relationship journey a long time ago. But in talking about dating and about marriage and about men picking the right woman and about women being ready, this all boils down to something very simple that everybody is aware of. What did you learn and what did you see in your own upbringing and in your own family? I think that it's so easy. What's going on, Primal Studies? Good to see you. I think it's so easy for us to discount the impact that our early childhood experiences have because as humans, what do we learn how to do? We learn how to adapt to our situation. So if you grow up in a situation where there's a lot of toxic behavior, there's a lot of arguing and a lot of yelling, well, as a human being, you're going to learn how to adapt to that environment. That's part of what gives humans the incredible ability to survive different situations is our adaptability. If you are in a home where there is always violence or someone's always stealing or whatever the environment is, you're going to adapt to that environment. And salute to you, What We Know podcast. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah. And so depending on where you come from, you're going to adapt to the environment that you're in. And I'll start off by saying something that might sting a bit. For most people who were parents in your 20s, it's important for you to understand right now that the likelihood of you messing up your kid in some area, it's high, particularly if you're a single parent. Now, this is not something that I'm saying to trigger. I'm telling you, as a matter of fact, people who are single parents in their 20s likely have damaged their kids in ways that they have no idea of, particularly if they come from a situation where there was no male presence, there was the ability to give the necessary attention wasn't there. The truth is, if you are a single parent in your 20s, you screwed up one of your kids or maybe a couple of your kids. And it's important for you to understand this because your kids, this is for parents. Your kids will never tell you this because the love that your kids have for mama, the love that kids have for their parents, sometimes is so strong that kids will suppress their pain to make sure that they give love. Now, they may have certain times in their life where they go away and they don't want to be bothered and they have to isolate, but giving them enough time, they'll be back because the love that they have for their parents oftentimes supersede the pain that they have within them, right? So because of this, there is this assumption that nothing is wrong. There's nothing happening. There's nothing going wrong. And we go through birthdays, we go through New Year's celebrations, we go through Easter, we go through Mother's Day, Father's Day, we go through another birthday, we go through Thanksgiving, we go through Christmas, and we loop and we loop, and we have Christmas dinner, and we get together for Thanksgiving. And if you're religious, you go to church, and everybody's going to church, everybody's being religious, but nobody's relating anymore. Everybody is having an experience, but nobody is fellowshipping anymore. Because when you go years and years with unspoken hurts, what happens over time is unresolved hurt, things that you haven't communicated. It almost like it becomes infected to the degree where people think you're acting funny. Your family thinks you're acting funny. You're not calling people anymore. You're not showing up at family events. You really don't want to be bothered. You know, you probably deleted people off of your social media. You done blocked some folks. And to the outside, they think you're being funny because they are not privy to the fact that you have some pain that you're suppressing. Because particularly in our families, and whether you're Black or you're white, a lot of us will take pain so that we don't hurt the family. We will hold on to things. We will not release things. We won't say certain things. We won't bring certain things up. We'll take pain and won't release it because we don't want to be responsible for breaking the family. We don't want to be responsible for secrets coming out, for things coming out that could potentially cause relationships to be fragmented, for things to be broken. And the most important thing that we fear is the disappointment from our mamas. And while this stream particularly is not to blame mothers, I do want to talk about this because this is one of the untapped things, especially in the Black community, that we can't talk about. We can talk about daddy, we can talk about uncles, depending on how many generations your grandparents, we could talk about them, we can talk about preachers, we can talk about politics. But one thing you bet not do, you bet not talk about mama. You have families that will break up defending mama. You have families and brothers and sisters who might not talk for years because it's been ingrained in us to protect mama at all costs. Don't you ask questions. Mama did the best she could. Mama tried. Mama loved us. Mama held everything together. And it's important to know that when we bring up issues and things that pained us, we're not discrediting the effort that mom made. But we have to get out of this culture where we're okay with giving mama credit, but mama's not okay with taking slight criticism. And not the kind of criticism that points the finger and says, you know what, it was all your fault. You did wrong. You could have done better. It was all your fault. But a lot of our mothers in our Black community, when kids are getting ready to go to college or something major happens in their life, mamas are the first ones to take credit about how they raise the kids. They rightfully bring up how they birthed the kid and how many hours of labor that they were in. But when it comes to taking criticism, that everything in raising the kid did not go right, and there are some hurts that time will, see, we say things like this, time heals all wounds. No, sometimes time that's not used to address the issue makes you bitter. It don't always heal stuff. Sometimes, if you think about this, there were some wounds that if you don't get in there and clean that stuff out and get the germs out of there, the more time that the germ is in that wound, the more infected it becomes. And if it gets too infected, you risk losing the very thing that's been infected. That's the way some of our hearts are. Your heart has been wounded because of things you've dealt with, and you can't go to your aunties, you can't go to your sisters, you can't go to your brothers, you can't hardly go to anybody. Sometimes you're afraid to even go to God because you feel ashamed and you feel guilty because you've been indoctrinated that mama did all she could. And you have the ability to heap on praise. Mama, I love you. I got a great mama. Mama's been so good. But when it's time for you to open up and talk to mama, the communication has been cut off. And in the Black community, and I'm speaking from this context because I see it, but I know that this happens in other cultures as well. We can talk and we can praise mama, but we can't talk about the pain mama caused. That makes sense. Miss Sean Denise, what's going on with you? Good to see you tonight. Glad that you were here. Glad that you were here tonight. Thank you for the 499 super chat. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate you. Shout out to Joseph with the $5 super chat. He says, not me. I had a horrible mother and not afraid to hold her accountable. Wow. So, and even doing this, there is a sense of concern, because really, and parents hear this, when kids bring stuff up, what you think is bitterness is pressure, because there's a lot of people who are like, and everybody saw this, who are much like Scrappy, who they've become successful to the outside world. They've got some status, they got some things going on for themselves, even get married. But when you get married on top of pain, and you start relationships on top of pain, and you have kids on top of pain that's unaddressed, you find yourself trying to heal in your relationships with everybody else from damage that was caused by your most intimate and your first relationships. Salute to you, Ricky Williams. Good to see you, man. Thanks for being here. Salute to Ricky. Glad that you are here. Yes. So, and what happens is, because there's a fear of criticism and we don't want mamas to feel bad, we just shut up and we become passive aggressive. And you get to the place where it's almost hard for you to be in the same room. It's hard for you to be nice. It's hard for you to show up for events and pretend like stuff didn't happen, because as you get older, it's harder to pretend like hurt don't hurt. Are you guys with me tonight? You guys hearing me tonight clearly? As you get older, it becomes harder and harder to act like hurt don't hurt. And some of the mothers on here might say, you know what, I wasn't anything like Scrappy's mom. You know, I wasn't in, the prostitute house. I wasn't around drugs. And maybe that's true. Maybe you were not in the whorehouse. Maybe there were no drugs around you. But just because that wasn't your particular vice doesn't mean that the impact that you had on your kids wasn't just as impactful. Sometimes when you have kids and you're quick to tell your kids to shut up and go in your room, go lay down somewhere. You're quick to tell your kids what to do and you strip them of their voice. You don't see the damage of that until later on in life. And you don't see the consequence and the damage that creates until the damage that you cause shows up in their marriage. You'll notice that sons who had mothers that did not give them love need a woman to provide a level of love, and it's not love that he's looking for from the woman. Guys, I'm gonna go a little bit deep, and then I'm gonna come back out, and then I'm gonna open it up for you guys to call in. But when what a son doesn't get from his mother early on, he looks for in his wife later on. So if son did not get affection early on, he didn't get that. Like he needed it and he wanted it. And then of course, as human beings, we learn to adapt to what we don't get. He learned how to survive without it, but there's something in his heart that still yearns for what mama could not provide for him. So he goes out and he finds a woman. Now, typically the first couple relationships are tragic because he's speaking from his experience. So he picks a woman that treats him like his mama, not because that's who he wants, but because that's what he's familiar with. Am I going too fast for you guys tonight? My chat is moving slow, or maybe ain't nobody watching. You guys will let me know. This is very important to understand, because what a man experiences early on, he looks for that later on. So if mom wasn't the one to give him love, mom wasn't the one to show him affection, mom didn't make him feel like what he said mattered, the son grows up feeling like he has to prove himself in every relationship. He has to prove himself to everybody. He has something to prove to the world. And when he looks for love from the woman he loves, To her, it might be overbearing because she believes that he's looking for affection. But the affection is a byproduct of the validation he's looking for that his mama didn't provide. And so he's going out in this world bleeding and still trying to be a man. Still trying to be tough, still trying to work, and still, still doing his thing, being masculine, being a man. And he's going out in the world trying to conquer, trying to be a man, trying to be a leader, trying to be a lover, trying to be a father. He's trying to be a superhero of a man while he's bleeding at the heart. And the world doesn't make it any better because the world says, well, you're a man. And so just get over it. Just push through it, man up, power through it, be a man, do what you got to do, suck it up, take it on the chin. The world does a poor job does a good job of reinforcing what he feels, the negative parts about himself. And so you find him engaging in behaviors that he's using to provide a level of validation. So he's going to go sleep with everybody, every woman he gets, because he's proving something to himself. And in him going to pick different women and find different women and have a list of different women, he's not looking for all those women. He's looking to piece together a level of affection that he should have gotten from his mama. And I don't know what's going on in our generation, but a lot of our mamas Scrappy said it that I think was so beautiful. He said, I can't go to my wife because she hard. I can't go to you because you hard. Life has made our mamas hard. And hard mamas create hard daughters. And so we got hard mothers produce hard daughters. And then everything we know is hard. It's hard to talk to you. It's hard to get a point across to you. It's hard to relate to you. It's hard to be around you. It's just, dang it, it's just hard. It's hard. It's hard trying to be human around you. It's hard to just be in your presence because you are hard to be around. It's hard for you to understand simple things. It's hard for you to relate and to empathize. It's just, dang it, it's hard. And when we see movements like me and say, you know what, forget it, let me get a passport, forget all this, let me just go ahead and date outside my race. These are all symptoms of the hardness that is so obvious, especially in the Black community. Our women are hard. This is why it's hard to talk to you. You become hard-headed. You become prideful. No one can say anything to you. You can't take correction. You can't hear a difference of opinion. Once you have a thought in your head about how something is, it almost takes an act of God, an act of Congress, enlightening, striking down someplace for you to switch positions and think about it differently because it's stuck in your head because our women have become hard. And so what we need in our communities is our women not to wait on something magical to happen. We need our women to understand that the femininity that we need is not a weakness. It is not something that we look at you as less than. It is a necessary ingredient that makes families families, that makes marriages marriages. Because no man wants to come home to a hard wife, just like no son wants to rest on a hard mama. All right, so let's go a little bit deeper, guys. You guys, let me know if you guys are with me tonight. This is a little deeper than I normally talk, but I feel it's like a burden on my heart to talk about these things because there are men who cry tears that nobody sees. There are men, you won't see it run down his face. You won't see tissues, you won't see, but men, there's a lot of bleeding men. And the world doesn't care about bleeding men until they need the men to dry up the tears and go do something for it. A lot of wives don't care about bleeding husbands until they need that husband to wipe his eyes and do something for. A lot of mothers don't care about bleeding sons until they need the son to wipe his eyes and then go do something for her. And it's important for me to acknowledge the pain that men feel, because men who are in pain can never operate at their peak selves. They'll never be great husbands. They'll be good ones. They'll never be great dads. They'll be good ones. But they're loving from pain. They're providing from pain. And there's a lot of men who are super strong and super tough. And you guys are praising him. And you guys are you guys are praising the strength, thinking that he wants to be that strength. But that's not a strength that man wants to have. It's a strength that he has to have because he ain't got nobody to lean on. See, we talk about how strong our women are, and our women are strong. But we don't talk about the strength that men have to exude at all times, because he's there to go protect mama. He's there to protect his wife and his kids. But who does a man go to when he's bleeding? Who does a man go lay on when he needs a shoulder to lean on? Whose arms can a man go in when the world is weighing him down? Because we don't ask these questions. We just tell a man to get your behind up, get your black butt up. You're 18 years old, get up, get a job. If you don't go get a job, go to the military. If you don't go, you're going to get the hell out of my house. And we've sent so many men into the world. They don't know what love is like. I'm getting ready to go deep, guys. And we wonder why men get with women that won't listen to them, they won't respect them, won't love them, won't honor them. It's hard to really talk to them. Well, mama, I know you don't like your daughter-in-law. Well, mama, I need you to understand that the reason a lot of cases sons pick that woman is because you were the template he used for the women he select. See, we love to say that fathers are a daughter's first love, and that however the father is, that's what the daughter's going to pick, which is very true. It's very true. But the truth is equally as true, is the template that mama sets becomes the template that the son uses to select a wife. And so you don't like your potential daughter-in-law because she's rude and she doesn't listen and she's hard-headed and she's inconsiderate and she's uncaring. But if you go back and you trace yourself, mom, you were uncaring, you were rude, you were inconsiderate, you were manipulative. And it's sad that a lot of our mothers can only see the damage that other people do to their kids. But mama, you can't see the damage that you did. I want to pause it for a second. Because it's important that when we have these kind of talks, that this doesn't come off as we are beating mothers. Because I truly believe that there were a lot of mothers who've done these things that if they could have done better and they had known better, they would have done better. I have no doubt that a lot of you brothers who are on here and you're dealing with the frustration and pain because you can't tell your mother this. You can't say it. You're afraid that something's going to happen. You're afraid that you're going to have a falling out with your relatives. You're afraid that you're going to have a falling out with your brothers and with your sisters. You're afraid that God's going to strike you down. There is something going. You can't say this, and so every now and again, you find people who understand you and can speak on your behalf, not so that you refrain from talking, but so that at least you know that you're not in this by yourself. Does that make sense, guys? You guys let me know if I'm talking to you tonight. I want to slow the pace down. Normally I'm on here and I'm screaming at people and I got the sound effects, but tonight it's serious because as a content creator, as I've been speaking more and more, I get a lot more feedback. And there's this pain that men deal with because we go from an unnurturing mother to an unnurturing wife. And there are some of you women who are watching this. You're that unnurturing mother and you're that unnurturing wife. And your husband can't tell you you need to come tune into this. Like, because he doesn't want to hurt your feelings. So Sir Hale has to show up and tell you that you need to hear this because you're unnurturing and you don't realize that as each day passes by, you're losing your man little by little, day by day, hour by it's not huge. You don't see that the bond is breaking. You don't even notice this because it's subtle. He's not doing anything dramatic. He's not going out drinking. He's not cheating on you. He's not wilding out. He's pretty level-headed. He comes home from work. He takes off his shoes. He watches the football game. Well, he watches basketball, whatever his sport is. He may grab a beer. He still eats the same way. He's still wearing the same kind of cologne. His temperament is the same. But you don't realize that unnurturing women push men away. Unnurturing mothers push sons away. Unnurturing wives push husbands away. Because if you're not taught how to nurture your man, the feminine part that complements the masculinity in the man, as each day passes by, you will find yourself losing your man. And this is why there's so many women. And you guys are going to see this. Thanksgiving is coming up and Christmas is coming up. And you're going to see a whole lot of kids. You're going to see a whole lot of children running around and playing and opening up presents. And you guys are going to be, if you guys play cards, you're going to be on playing spades. Or if you guys play dominoes, you guys are going to be playing dominoes. Or if you guys shooting pool, you're going to be shooting pool. If you play PlayStation, you're going to be on a play or Xbox. But what you're going to notice is that with all those kids, with all those women, you're going to see an absence of men. Because it's not in a man's nature to stay someplace where he is unappreciated, where he's unheard. It's outside of a man's nature to stay in a place that's hard. Y'all ladies, are you hearing me? So it's important for you mothers who are on here to understand that what you think your son is not calling you, or he's not coming around, or he's hostile toward you, you think that the devil's in him. No. See, a lot of you love to blame the devil, and you don't want to blame your behavior. It's very easy to say it's the devil trying to get in here. It's the devil. No, mama. It was your behavior. You can't keep on trying to manipulate your son and poke at his heart and poke at his emotions. And whenever he feels something, you invalidate him and expect him to remain loyal to you, because if he remains loyal, you will have a son that you don't respect. You will love him, you'll be there for him, but you will not respect him because you're chipping away at his masculinity for your benefit. And I need a lot of my mothers, a lot of you who are watching this, especially if you were a mother in your 20s and you were a single mother, I need you to go back and to apologize to your sons for the damage that you caused, that you thought getting him some ice cream would fix. For the damage you say, you want something to eat? You thought that was fixing it. Let me go buy you something. Let me take you out somewhere. Yeah, you can go play outside. You can watch an extra 30 minutes, an extra hour of television. You were trying to bargain pain away. And mothers, you can't bargain pain away. He might like the gifts. He might like the extra time up. He might like the presents. But what he really wants is to know that you recognize the pain you caused. Because he's not trying to blame you. He just wants to know that he's not crazy. And too often, particularly in our Black community, we enable, okay, guys. All right. Let me slow down for a second. I care about my brothers. So this is important to me. This is important to me. This is important to me, guys. There are so many men who are invalidated. And we think that because a man turns 25 or 30, it's get on your grind, do what you got to do. You're absolutely right. But there are two women that have a power to hurt a man in ways that nobody else can do. Most of you have heard me say this before. It's his mother and the woman he loves. And that woman he loved might not be his wife. These are the only two women who have the power and the access to hurt him in ways that nobody else can. So when pain occurs from one of them, he can't just go into the world like nothing happened. He can't pretend, he can't shake this off. He can act like it doesn't exist. When his mother or the woman he loves damages him. It affects him in ways, and it will not go away. We can read books, we can go to seminars, we can go to therapy, and he'll learn how to cope with it. But he might not learn how to heal from it. And I feel for so many men who needed to hear, son, I'm sorry for what I did to you. I'm sorry for what you saw. I'm sorry for not listening to you. Men who just needed to hear that. In a conversation, an honest, transparent conversation, some truthfulness. He don't need to hear you did your best. He don't need you tried. He doesn't need to hear it was so hard. He don't need to hear you didn't know what to do and you didn't know how you were going to provide. He don't need none of that. He doesn't need you to qualify his hurt. He needs you to acknowledge it. Mothers, it's important for you to hear this, that he does not need you to qualify his hurt. He doesn't need you to try to re-narrate it and try to make it make sense and go back into his history and re-narrate what he felt, because you can change what you narrate, but you can't change what that man felt. And too many of our mothers will throw God, we'll throw Jesus, we'll throw church, we'll throw hurt, we'll throw history, we'll throw slavery, we'll throw anything in there to deflect from the pain that you caused. And what your son is not looking for, he's not looking to blame you. He's not looking to point the finger and say, so you were a terrible mama. I don't know how many mothers out here say things like this. That when he's coming to you and he's bringing up his issues, oh, so I'm just a bad mama. I guess I'm just a bad mama. I guess I was so bad. I guess it was so terrible. I guess, I was the worst thing in the world. And what you do is you go far extreme to minimize the truthfulness of what he said in that moment. And mothers, if you're doing this, I'm telling you that that's manipulation. You're going to the far extreme, saying stuff he did not say, putting words in his mouth, taking the conversation someplace that's toxic. It's manipulative. And when you do that to your son, you don't realize he ends up marrying a woman who does the very same thing to him. When he says, babe, you're not listening. Oh, I guess I'm a bad wife. I guess I'm the worst thing in the world. I guess you could have been with somebody else. You are the template that he uses to select the woman in his life. And what kind of pain is it for a man to go from the pain of his mother to the pain of a wife who treats him in the very same manner that his mother did? A lot of men who are dealing with this. Successful men, men who wear suits, men who are executives, dudes who will fight anybody, dudes who are tough, masculine men hurting. And the reason why he's always ready to fight, he's not ready to fight because he's always angry. He's always ready to fight because nobody addressed his triggers. Because what y'all typically do is y'all minimize man's triggers. Oh, so you triggered. So you in your feelings. You're darn right I'm in my feelings. If you were in the pain that I was in, if you had to deal with what I had to deal with, if you had to walk in my shoes and shut up about it and don't say nothing about it, because if you do, you are a bitch. If you do this, then you are weak. If you do this, you're too emotional. If you do this, you act like a woman. You would be the same way that I am if you had to shut up with the amount of pain that I was in. Well, because we got this perspective that men are supposed to act and behave a certain way. And if he comes out of his character, and if he comes out of your perception of what he's supposed to be, then he's less of a man. Men, I'm telling you this, if you are around any woman in your life that invalidates your feelings, that invalidates the state of your heart, that minimizes your pain, I want you to love yourself enough. I mean this. I want you to care enough about yourself to exit that relationship, because anybody who doesn't take your pain seriously does not deserve a place in your life. Y'all hear what I'm saying tonight? I don't care if it's your mother. I don't care if it's your grandmother. I don't care if it's your auntie. I don't care who it is. I'm going to go so far to say this. If you're with a wife who invalidates your feelings, who has proven to you over and over again that she will not hear you, that she will not love you, that your feelings do not matter, and she says little thing, well, you need to go see a therapist, well, you need to go take your medicine. If that's the kind of woman that you're with right now, give her the gift of not having your presence. Let her find somebody else who doesn't have what you come with. Let her find somebody else who doesn't deal with the pain that you deal with. But there are too many men who are feeling terrible on the inside, who are broken, who are dejected, who are depressed, who can't say anything because they are with women. He's been cultured to be with women who repeatedly show him that she doesn't give a damn about what he feels. And Sir Hale is sick of it. I'm not going to keep on doing these live streams and talking around the issue because I'm so concerned about what people are going to say, because what I recognized is the people who I was concerned with that might have an issue with what I'm saying, it changed my life when I realized that those people are dealing with the very same thing today. If you are with a girlfriend, with a wife, with a mother, and she invalidates what you feel, give her the gift of not having your presence, because there are women who are ready-made. They come ready to love. They come ready to listen. They come ready to serve. They come ready to heal. They come ready to help. And the reason why you can't see them, the reason why you can't find them is because you are operating off the template that you saw from a mother who didn't give you the nurturing that you needed. I know it's hard, man, because in your head, you don't want to feel like you wasted time. You don't want to feel like you didn't mean nothing. You don't want to feel like your work was in vain. You don't want to take this lonely journey, but I guarantee you, you have to be okay understanding that when something exits your life, it's making room for something. See, some of you fellas, you've been so broken that you don't even have any self-worth. You don't know how much you're worth. You think the reason you stick around in pain is because somehow you think you deserve it. You think you're built for this and that this is what life is. And I'm not saying that relationships, serious ones, don't have its issues and its ups and its downs. I'm just saying there's something wrong when it's mostly down. I'm saying when there's something wrong when you don't get encouragement and you're not inspired and you're not encouraged and you're not heard and you live most of your days frustrated. You're spending most of your time praying about a relationship when you should be walking in your purpose. You are spending so much of your time trying to fix what you got going on in your personal relationship that you can't put time and energy into your business. And I'm telling you, the reason you're doing this is because you're operating off of a broken template. If you could fix it with your mama, these other women wouldn't be a problem. But because you don't have the ability or the safe space or the freedom or the access to say, mama, you hurt me, but I still love you. Without what you saying being turned around and you being manipulated, you can't reach your purpose because you can't even be honest about your pain. I told you guys, it's kind of an ugly stream tonight. It's kind of an ugly stream. I typically want to talk about something different, to be honest with you. This one is kind of like a painful conversation. It's not cute. It's not pretty. It's this kind of an ugly conversation. It's kind of embarrassing to talk like this. But it's impossible for me saying that I'm about relationships and marriage if I don't tap into the brokenness that a lot of our men are feeling. My brother Black Men Unfiltered did a show on Friday, and he talked about this, about the rates of self-deletions that Black men are suffering. Life gets so bad for so many men. And y'all just, people just laugh at it. It don't mean nothing. Men delete themselves. It doesn't matter until it's your son, until it's your husband, until it's your dad. Nobody seems to care about the issues of men until it affects a man that you care about. And I need mothers, especially single mothers who raised kids in your 20s, to strike up a conversation with your son and let that man talk. I don't need you to talk over him. I don't need you to cut him off. Don't try to make sense. I need you to have show some restraint and just listen, because all of his life has been about you. I need you for a second before Thanksgiving, before Christmas, before the new year. Mothers, I need you to hear me. Go have a conversation with him and let him talk. Because you think that the conversation is going to result in him pointing the finger and telling you how bad you are. And all he needs to know is that he's heard. Sometimes you just listening and saying, son, it hurts me to hear this. Because mama, we know most of the time the stuff you did, you wouldn't have done if you had better advice, if you had more support, if you would have known better. We know you wouldn't have done it. But if we can give you that understanding, knowing that if you would have had more, if you'd have some support, you'd have done better, then you have to turn around and give him that support and let him know that he can be safe. He can be open to tell you the truth from his perspective. It's amazing how we expect maturity from our kids when we get pride from our parents. I'm gonna let that sit for a second. We want our kids to be mature and to understand stuff that they wasn't there to witness. But our parents are sometimes stuck in pride. No one can say anything to you. You're willing to take the credit, willing to take the praise, but can't take the criticism and can't take the raw truth about their experience. And this is why so many families are broken. Because we can talk about everybody except mama. And hear me what I'm saying to you. For everybody who's listening, I am not saying to go to your mother and be disrespectful and to talk to her in a manner that's disrespectful. We don't do this over here. You honor your father and your mother. That's just what we do. But to the mothers on here, I'm telling you that when you quote that scripture about honoring your father and your mother, I want you to be sure that you read that whole part where it talks about, and don't provoke the children. Because there's a lot of kids that you want to honor you that you done provoked. And we're going to have to stop doing these partial scriptures that force the kids to give you what you want when you could be neglectful to give them what they need. If healing is going to happen in these communities, y'all, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to keep it 100% with you guys. We can have every movement that we want to have. We can have every movement that we want to have. We can have passports. We can have different segments of groups going their other way. We can have all these groups. Let me tell you what's going to fix this stuff. If we can fix it in our families. And the reason why we're trying to piece other stuff together is because we are broken in the home. I know some of you mothers are saying, you know what? I'm sick of Sir Hale. Black behind. Hairline crooked. Who we think he is? I'm sick of him. Sir, he the negative. I'm sick of Sir Hale. Who listened to him? Sick of him. I'm your son's advocate. So I don't mind you hating me. I don't mind you not liking me. I don't mind that. Don't because I'm gonna be fine with or without you, but for your son, I'm his advocate. And I'm telling you some things that he wants to tell you that he can't say because he thinks that the truth is gonna hurt you, even though the reality is hurting him. You understand? I'm your son's advocate. And by the way, I am speaking on behalf of his future wife. Because mother, what you don't realize is what you do to him now, a good wife is going to have to pay for later. And she not going to know where this stuff is coming from. She not going to know why she has to pray the way she does. She's not going to know why she has to pour on a little bit of extra love and why she has to be a little bit more careful than she normally would be. She ain't going to know that. She's going to think that that's just the way that he is. he just hard like that. He just rigid like that because she does not know, because he's been classically trained to shut up. And so he won't tell you the depth of his pain because he doesn't want you as his wife to lose respect for him. So he was told to shut up when he was young, and that's why he shuts you out, because he's been trained to. And you don't know this, so I got to tell you this so that when you marry him, you know how to pray for him. I'm telling you this so that you know how to love him. He's not hard because he's uncaring. People get hard and get mean. They get hard and they get tense. They're not that way because there's something wrong with their personality, but people act funny when they're in pain. People, their temperament is different when they're in pain. People perform different. Their moods change when they're in pain. There were a lot of men who were in pain. Good men, loving men, faithful men, preachers and clergy and attorneys and doctors and businessmen in pain. Productive, watch this, high value men in high value pain. So I'm telling you, ladies, on this so that you know how to love him. Because in this generation, I know you guys don't want to believe that. You think that everybody's going to be able to go to therapy and get fixed before they meet you. And I'm telling you the truth, that for some of us, we're going to have to heal together. We're going to have to heal together. And this does not mean that you take his trauma on as if it's your own and he doesn't have any work to do. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying that sometimes the love that a man gets from his wife is almost like balm that covers the scars of his maternal relationship. Y'all make this making sense, y'all? So to all my men who've dealt with this, it would be very easy for me to tell you to just heal from this. But I'm going to go a step deeper. And I'm going to tell you, son, I'm going to speak to you, mother. It's time for y'all to have a real conversation. And mama, let me get on you for a second. Mama, let me get on you for a second. Mama, you're going to have to cool out. All this being emotional, this being dramatic, and you don't know how to sit there and listen, and you're going to get moody and mad. Mama, no, calm down. Listen to your son the way you wish to be listened to. Chill out with all that. I'm sorry, all the antics, all the emotionality. His pain is not an opportunity for you to make it about you. Did y'all hear what I said? Mamas, did you hear what I said? When he brings up the issue that he has, that is not your opportunity to hijack the moment and to talk about your pain. This ain't a time for you being selfish. It's a time for you to listen, and to listen with love. Not listen to respond, not listen to react. Listen to hear. Listen to love. It's amazing what love would do to bring families back together again. But because a lot of our mothers would rather be right and would rather be heard, the family will never come back together again. Because nobody knows how to listen. And so to the sons on here who have gone through pain, it's important for you to forgive. Because if you don't forgive, you lock away a version of your mother in your heart that even if she tries to change, you'll never see it. Because the version of her that's locked away will forever be the lens through which you see her with. So you have to forgive her for you, and then also forgive her for her. Because whether your mother told you this or not, she did love you. And she still loves you. And as quiet as it's kept, she thinks about the time she hurted you. And she is scared that she lost you. The longer you go without talking to her, You don't know that your mother still cries about it. Because you did not know that the reason your mother told you to shut up is because that's what she was told too. The reason your mother didn't give you the love that you needed is because she never got the love that she needed. And we got this generation of pain. I'm passing down trauma. My mama did this to me, and I'm doing this to you. This is why so many of you finally see the love with the grandkids. Because by the time the grandkids get here, we've lived enough life to understand the mistakes we made, and we don't want to pass that on to that generation, but we skip the kids. So sons, I need you to forgive your mother, because as quiet as it's kept, the pain that she caused, she is aware. She just doesn't know how to confront it, because she already feels like she lost you. Whew. So mama, it's important to me, whether you black, you white, I don't care what your color is. I want you to make the call and extend the love. I'm gonna say this last thing and then I'm gonna be done. We're gonna have to stop waiting till funerals to get things right. Y'all hear me when I tell you this? We're going to have to stop waiting till somebody dies to get things right. It's particularly in the Black community. Somebody passes away, and then when somebody passes away, then that's when everybody rallies around and say, you know what, we got to come together as a family. You know what, we gonna do this. I'm gonna call you. We gonna get together. And 2 weeks after the funeral, it might even, maybe even less, about 2 weeks after, everybody going back to do the same thing again until the next person passes away. We're gonna have to start waiting for somebody to die for us to start extending love. How many more people got to pass away? How many more uncles? How many more aunties? How many more relatives we got to lose to cancer, and we got to lose to diabetes, and we got to lose to car accidents, and we got to lose to how many more people do we got to lose before we finally say, you know what? Let me put my pride aside. How do we put the pride aside? And let me say this last thing, then I'm gonna open up the call lines. Don't you ask for forgiveness. Y'all hear me? Y'all hear me? Turn this up in your car, turn this up on your television. I want you to hear what I'm getting ready to tell you. Mothers, do not ask for forgiveness before you admit what you did. A lot of y'all mothers, I told the sons he needs to forgive, but this is for you. Mothers, do not ask for forgiveness before you admit what you did. A lot of us wanted to skip to the end result. We want to skip to the conclusion. We want to skip to the end and know, I need you to it's ugly, it's painful. I need you to sit in this, and before you ask for forgiveness, I need you to admit where you got it wrong. Because let me tell you what makes a person feel unheard is when you gaslight them and try to make them feel like what they felt didn't happen. It's insulting, and it's enraging. This is how we heal. When we can be open and honest about our experiences and extend some grace for things to change. But you can't have grace if you can't deal with the grief. And you can't ask for forgiveness if you can't admit fault. It's a process. And these conversations, it might not be a one and done. You might have to have a 4-part conversation. But I don't care how long the conversation is, have the converse. I need everybody to type that in the chat for me. Have the conversation. You may have to break it down sometimes. It may be too much to talk about it in one sitting, but I need you to have the conversation so that we can really restore our families. All right. I think I've said enough tonight, guys.
Sir,
I think I've said enough. Let me open up the call lines and let me see your perspective on this tonight. Was I off on what I said? Did I miss something? Do you guys understand why I brought him into this picture? About his pain, what he got from his mother, and then the experience he has with his wife. Was I off on this? I would really love to hear a few perspectives tonight. I would really love to hear from you guys. So let me do this. I'm going to drop the link and I'm going to give us about another 30 or so minutes. And let me know what you guys think about this conversation. Are there any mothers on here that you know you need to call your son and make things right, or your sons? Are there any sons on here who have a silent grief because you're in an amount of pain that you can't communicate to your mother? You surely can't talk about it to your wife. If that's you, I'm dropping the link now. I really want to hear from you guys. And the goal for this conversation is not to leave people more broken. The goal is to call out the issue so that we can resolve it. Because I believe that honesty is the gateway to healing. And we can't heal what we can't confront. So I just dropped the line really quickly. I'm going to read through these super chats and shout out to all of the moderators who are in the building. Shout out to Lady Navoa, to Wally, shout out to Grey Pill Podcast. Good to see you, man. Shout out to the one of the only I Excel who's in the building. Good to see you, man. My biggest supporter. Thank you so much for being here. To those of you who are new to the conversation, good to see you, Miss Lynette. Glad that you were here. To those of you who are new to the channel, if you guys haven't already hit the like button, hit the like button. We've been growing pretty well. I think we're close to 5,000 subscribers. So we're much appreciate, we appreciate the love and the support. Good to see MC Recovery, Wellness, and Relapse Network. Thank you so much for being here. Very glad to see you. Salute to Carl. Good to see you. The Anomaly is in the building. Good to see you tonight. Hanifa, what's going on with you? Very glad to see you tonight. Taz in the building. The World Class is in the building. Good to see you tonight. Shout out to KP from KC5. Ain't seen you in a minute, man. Glad to see you. My brother Blackman Unfiltered is in the building. Good to see you tonight. Very glad to see you tonight. Randy K, good to see you. Very glad that you were here. Let me read through some of these super chats. And I opened up the call line. I would love for somebody to call in. And if not, it's fine. I think I've said enough tonight. But I really would love to hear what your perspective is on what I talked about tonight. Shout out to the Anti-Socialite Podcast with the $5 super sticker. Thank you so much for the love. I'm getting ready to pick it up in just a minute. Salute to the Intentional Millionaire who's in the building. Glad to see you, man. Thank you so much for being here. Moderators, please drop the Intentional Millionaires channel as well. He says the grill is hot. Sir Hale cooking. Good to see you, my brother. Thank you so much. Salute again to Joseph White. He said, tried to have this conversation and she pulled a knife and tried to delete me. Haven't heard from her since. Wow. I'm sorry to hear that, man. I'm really sorry to hear that. Shout out to our Singing Little Podcast who became a member of the channel. Salute to you, my brother. Welcome, bro. Much respect, much love, my brother. Y'all moderators, please drop my brother's channel, I Sing a Little Podcast. Thank you so much. Osmosis Reacts is in the building. What's going on, my brother? It's been a minute, man. My Texas brother. Good to see you, and hope all is well with you. Good to see you. Shout out to another member. Taz Defy is in the building, who's become a member of the channel. Much love, much respect, man. Listen, it does my heart good to see people showing love to the channel. I hope that you guys, as I do these shows, are seeing the value. I really appreciate you guys. I hope that you guys are getting value out of what we talk about. So let me play the super chat. So let me play Pick It Up. Once we come back, I'll see if we got a call. And if not, we'll go ahead and we'll wrap up this stream. All right. Let's pick it up a couple times.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Ooh, I've been on the flex since flex zone. Neighborhood all in your eardrums. I ain't never scared like Bone Crush. Boy, I got God, don't fear none. My line busy, take no calls. Feels like I don't have no flaws. Snakes in the grass, cut those off. Yo, squad shitty, my bros raw. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Ooh, I've been on the flex since flex zone. Neighborhood all in your eardrums. I ain't never scared like Bone Crush. Boy, I got God, don't fear none. My line busy, take no calls. Feels like I don't have no flaws. Snakes in the grass, cut those off. Yo, squad shitty, my bros raw.
All right, guys, so I don't have any callers tonight. So listen, did you guys enjoy the stream? Was anything that I said tonight helpful? Just let me know what you guys think in the comment section. And if you let me know what value you get from these kind of talks. I know it's deep and it won't always be this way, but I need to hear from you guys. On the other platforms that I'm on, I've noticed a really big response. And so we're touching on these things because my goal really is to help change lives. So I want to hear from you guys. Hold on. My brother's in the building. I was getting ready to end the stream, but he's here. Y'all show some love to my brother from another mother. I seen a little podcast is in the building. What's going on, my brother?
What's up, sir? Hale?
Hey, good stuff, man. How are you?
Chilling, bro. Just chilling.
Excellent. Talk to me, man. You've been on here tonight. I'm going to give you the full screen. I'm not sure how much of the conversation you heard, but if you want to respond to what you heard, and what are your thoughts on it?
Honestly, I really just wanted to come up just so I could salute you in person on the show. I wanted to definitely be one of the people who did that because I'm pretty sure out of all of the other channels that I have supported and watched and all of that, I've never heard anyone outside of myself actually have the conversation that you just had. And because I'm a realistic person, right? What I think what makes you such a credible source is that it don't sound personal coming from you. First of all, your presentation is fire as always, right? And it's like it comes off as genuine care and concern. It's very informative and thought out. It was by no means did it feel like bashing or finger pointing or any of that at any point. Doing your soliloquy. And I think, unfortunately, what we tend to do to people is that when we think they have a dog in the fight, then we try to blame, right, whatever their perception is on the fact that they've been through it, right? They may be a victim of something. And so I literally came to YouTube to have that same conversation that you just had. And I'm just thankful that, you know what I'm saying, somebody in your position, almost 5,000 subscribers, doing really well, multiple shows all over the place, is still willing to have that type of conversation, because most of us aren't. Most of us, it's relationship, gender war, and that's about it. And whatever is, pop culture. And so for you to take the time out to make sure that you address things, because what you're addressing is not just a Band-Aid for what's going on right now. It's a cure for the future, because that changed behavior will affect the people that are parenting now, which will affect the way that they parent their kids, which will in turn affect the way their kids are raised, which will in turn affect the way that they raise their kids. And so that to me has always been the solution. It's one of the reasons why I always push the narrative that I thought the greatest change that we needed in our community came from the women. Most of the time, the women are only talking about money. We know that there are behavioral things that we as men need to deal with, but in reality, women do the raising of children, even when the father is in the home and he's a full-time provider. I mean, I remember a conversation I had where a guy talked about, it's like, think about it like this, dude. They talk about how the fathers were back in the day, but those guys was working 10, 12, sometimes 14-hour days. You think they were coming home and just, spending all this time raising kids? Like, that's just not what it was. Mothers instill behavior, emotional discipline, psychological maturity into their children. That is a part of their job. They are the first educators. Education does not mean that they teach you how to count 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. Education is literally indoctrination into belief and behavior. And so that's the why the role of a mother is so important. We understand that in our community, the mothers have sometimes out of their own decisions, sometimes due to decisions based on mother and father and other circumstances, situations, have been put in these circumstances where they raising the kids without the fathers. Well, we've already minimized that, right, to a certain degree. 2.5 million Black men in the homes with their fathers, which is more than half at this point. So we're getting that part down, but it's still, we have to focus on the behaviors. And I think that's what you talked about tonight. And like I said, I can't even name another content creator, and I'm not dissing them. But it definitely was one of the reasons why I started going around to other platforms trying to interject these type of conversations to say, hey, we're doing a lot of talking about what men aren't and what's wrong with men. We don't do enough talking about how they got to that point. And so I spent a lot of weeks trying to have that very conversation. And then after a while, I realized there was a lot of men on YouTube, including yourself, that were having meaningful conversations addressing the women. And so I also felt like I wanted to be able to give the women the same empathy and the same consideration that I would ask of them to give to us men. And so I've started trying to do that as well. And this made me a better person all around. And I'm telling you, one of the key things that you said tonight, like that really made me hit the join button, was when you said that there's healing in honesty. I mean, people tell me sometimes that I'm too transparent, I'm too honest, I share too much. But it's like I'm always thinking, is somebody out there that's going through what I'm going through that doesn't have the courage or the voice to speak? And I do. I'm more, brazen that way. I'm more willing to speak and speak out and even talk about myself and share things that, give people cause to judge me. But I just say Matthew 7 and keep it moving, right? But when it's like, man, when you said that, it's like, man, that is so key. I know what he's talking about right now, as far as the mothers go and the sons and the relationship and all of that was big, big, big. It really was, man. I mean, you really read my life. Everything he was saying was literally my life, my story. But when you mentioned that the healing is in the truth, I cannot stress that or press that enough. The healing is really in being honest. You cannot build on lies. You cannot correct on lies. You can only build and you can only correct with the truth. And so I just wanted to thank you for saying that. I was going to send a little cash out, and I just said, man, look, I'm going to join the channel because I'm a broke dusty, as they call it. But I'm going to join the channel so that way I don't got to feel bad. I know I got something contributing every month. And when I get a little bit more money, I'm going to go up to the next level, and keep going up. But man, you did an awesome job tonight, bro. I'm telling you, this might be my favorite show of yours tonight.
Hey man, listen, I appreciate you, and I know anybody who joins, every man who joins is a high value man automatically. So, so we are good. Hey y'all,
Right.
so similar to my brother podcast. You know what's funny, man? When I do these shows, you guys will never see me reading anything. I don't go and read something. It's just from the heart. I think about it and I sense an issue. Yep. And like this week, particularly on TikTok and on IG as well. And I see back there, MC Recovery. Good to see you, man. Thanks for being here. I just noticed there's a lot of men who hurting, bro. And the common thing that I kept hearing, these are men who are married. It was two things. The general theme is that they're unheard. But here's what got me, bro. It was 60-year-old women and older who were invalidating these men's feelings.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here like, I don't think people understand how inhumane it is to make a person feel unheard. I don't think people get that. Like, to be unheard and for what you feel to be invalidated is enough to drive a person crazy. And that's what prompted me to want to do this show. Now, look, this ain't one of the popular, laughing and we go have a good time show, but I think this was a needed show. And I'm just glad to have said something. And I'm going to continue speaking out on things like this as well, just like you are with your transparency as well. We both can talk on this level because we get it. You see what I'm saying? And I think we have to help heal a lot of other men. So do me a favor, your final thoughts and call out your channel. Y'all, this is my brother from another mother podcast. Moderators, please drop his link again. What's your final thoughts? And leave the people with something.
Well, I mean, like what you just said about being unheard, man, it's hard for people to break behaviors and patterns. And so, my mom has done a really, really, really good job of maturing and understanding that she has a role in our lives, and that includes, nurturing and being caring and compassion and all of that. And she's done a good job. We can talk now, she still gaslights a little bit, but she's in her 60s. I don't expect her to remember everything. You know what I'm saying? So it can happen is all. I won't for the brothers out here that might be struggling with this, it can happen. The one thing you got to be willing to do is hold people accountable. I know it's tough. I know it's going to hurt. But you just got to be willing to do it. You can't accept it. I know we were told when we were younger, that's your mom and that's your auntie and that's your sister and let it go. But as men, we are supposed to be leaders. And so we cannot stand by and watch people misbehave or have corrosive behavior that affects them and the rest of the people around us that we love. We have to be willing to speak up about it, moms included. But like Sir Hale said, we don't have to do it in a disrespectful way. And the last thing I'll say is that, Martin Luther King said that riots were the language of the unheard. So that just goes to show you what people do when they feel they're unheard. They will literally burn things down. So we have to stop gaslighting people. We have to stop ignoring people. I'm literally working on a song right now while I'm talking about this. And it's one of the first times I've ever done a song where I'm this transparent. Because at this point, I just don't want to rap about, money and all of this stuff anymore. I want to be honest, and I want to talk about some things, and I know it's probably going to hurt some feelings, but I think that there is healing and honesty, and I'm hoping that, everybody can get there with the level of honesty that I have. So just remember that when people feel unheard, that's not a good thing. I'm telling you, we have to be willing to listen, and we definitely have to be willing to listen to men, especially with all of the sacrifices we expect for them to make and everything, that all of the expectations that we have for them. The people in men's life have to play their roles, fathers included, sons included, brothers included, but as well mothers and sisters and aunts and wives and all that too. We are living a coexistence, and it does not work. Like what did Jay-Z say? Nobody wins when the family feuds, right? So shout out to Sir Hale, man. Thank you for this episode. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do a reaction to it because it was just way too much in here. Like the old me would have been saying, yeah, Sir Hale, tell him. But the more mature me was like, man, that is a great point. Man, that is gonna reach somebody, So I appreciate you, brother.
Hey, y'all, shout out to my brother. Hey, bro, real talk. I'd have been like that too, man. I've been on the stream like I did the whole stream like this, bro. I'm
Right.
there with you, man. I'm there with you, brother.
For real, for real.
Pod,
Shout out to
appreciate you, man. Matter of fact, what I want to do is maybe in the next couple of weeks, let's do a show together and let's do this from if you open to that, and let's go in, bro.
No doubt. Let's do it. All right, man. Appreciate you. I seen your little podcast is the channel, man. We growing. I ain't been doing a lot because I got some things I got going on. But Reckless Ray will be doing his show tonight, the Guns and Butter podcast. So after y'all turn off Sir Hale, y'all jump on over and go check out Reckless Ray. He's going to be talking about financial literacy tonight. So check that out. Salute to you, bro.
Salute, my brother. All right, man.
No doubt.
All right, y'all, bring it up to the stage. I think for the first time, MC Recovery, and then Lucky. I see what's going on, Lucky. Y'all show some love to the one and the only MC Recovery. He's in the building. He has a perspective tonight. In the chat, please show some love, guys. Shout out to Missionary Mike, who's in the building. Good to see you. Shout out to Braves Club. A shout out to Big Smooth. Glad that you guys are here tonight. Let's bring up MC Recovery. It's been quite some time. I'm not sure if I've seen you on the actual live stream, but I'm glad that you're here tonight. Good sir, how are you?
Hello there, Sir Hale Speed.
Hey, good to see you.
Yeah, I was wrapping up from work, and I looked up there and I said, "Uh-oh," and then I clicked it because I subscribed the other day when you was on Kosher Clinician channel.
Hey, shout out to Kosher Clinician.
Yeah, so and then I looked at the title. So the only thing I noticed about the title is that I'm still healing from some of the stuff, and I'm trying to break some of the habits that I picked up from my mother. Some of them is broken, but it's like it's not easy, and I'm trying to make sure I don't pass it on to my 15-year-old son. But it's like it's hard for that to happen on certain occasions. I try to correct them in certain areas, like in his speech, in that fortune telling stuff. And I say, wait a minute, don't do that. I used to do that. do you know like he can read what you finna do or say.
Right.
And then he picked that up from grandma. So other than that, I said, ooh, he got a cold topic. And the latest thing that I'm trying to heal from is a few months ago, my mother told me she got a letter from my sister, but this is from a sister that I didn't even know I had. And mom's just going through dementia, so she don't remember the name. She never gave me the letter when I was staying with her. So it just threw me through a loop. 3 weeks ago, I tried to do that ancestry stuff for a minute, and I didn't get no luck. So I'm gonna try again probably this weekend because the leads I got, it wasn't the real leads. So other than that, my only resentment was with her that I'm still healing from is that me and my brothers and sister lost a lot of inheritance while my father was locked up. So I'm still healing from that there because she never brought me and my brother in with the discussion. So some strangers was able to get close to her and nab and manipulate all this property. So that other than that, I'm glad she told me about that I have a sister because it gives me something to look for because I tried to track the father and the sister. So I'm getting close.
Let me ask you a question. So with all that, have you forgiven?
Have I forgiven her? When I look at it, it's like I'm over now for that there. For the sister thing, it's like I'm overlooking it because of the onset of the dementia. But it's one part of me, I don't think I'm completely over it. But then now she's in the hospital. Now I know I must be over it now because she had a fire in her kitchen. So so they did skin graft surgeries last week
Sending
and
prayers for me. Sending prayers.
yeah, so my mother is healing up fast. And I went to her friend's house to pick up a letter for a new and cleaner building that she can move into. But other than that, I just haven't put the pen to the paper yet because we can do step 10, 11, and 12 right in our head. But if it's something critical that I really need to look at, I need to see where's I'm resentful, dishonest, and afraid. See, I need to write on that so I can see the truth within myself.
So I'm glad you're honest about it. But here's my thing for you: if you can't find it in your heart to forgive, to release yourself, and this doesn't do away with what happened, but it does free you, and I think that's very important.
Right. But I do believe that with the way she said it, she didn't say it real gross. It was more like it was like she was apologizing for not giving me that letter.
Yeah, excellent. Well, good, man. Listen, I want to give you final thoughts and then leave a word with the people. Do you have your own YouTube channel as well?
Oh yeah, it's MC Recovery, Wellness, and Relapse Show. So and I speak on now. I expanded it to speak on everything in recovery, even people that got their own agency or nonprofit. I'm starting to add them into the show because for you to come out of prison or come out of a situation or foster youth and have your own program, oh yeah, I gotta compliment that. And I speak on personal recovery, and I'm speaking also on wellness and practices of ADHD because I have a son that's doing so good with what I found on YouTube. I'm using these tools. And then yeah, he's doing good. He was already doing good, but now, like what you were saying here, picking up those old ancestry traits, it's like this training taught me how to speak to him in a way he can picture success. So it's scaffolding techniques and stuff where he can picture that you can do this. We don't have no quitters, but he's good in math and good in English, but to stay on task. See, that's what I got to put in him. You can always stay on task. If you got something, just think about your favorite video game or something and treat it like that, or your hip hop song. So
excellent. I appreciate it. Listen, I'm glad to have met you. I think I remember you from Coach's Stream. It is really good to see you. And guys, if I'm freezing a bit, my apologies. I got a lot going on tonight. But man, thank you so much for coming up here. Moderators, please drop MC Recovery's YouTube channel. We love personal development. That's what we're all about. So salute to you. And here's my only ask of you. Don't let this be your last time coming over. Don't let this be your last time coming over. Because I'm going to
press the bell.
Excellent. Thank you so much, y'all. Y'all show some love to Mr. MC Recovery. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you for allowing me in.
Absolutely. Y'all showing some love. Missionary Mike, thank you so much. He sends a cash up, a $50 a cash up. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And to Kiwan, she sends a $5 cash app as well. Thank you guys. Listen, let me play the super chat song really quickly. Let me do this real quick, and then I got two more guests. Lucky, you were up next, and then my brother Fire 100 Podcast, CJ is here. Let me play the super chat song, and we'll be right back right after this.
Pick it up, super chat. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up. I've been on the flex since flex on. Neighborhood all in your eardrums. I ain't never scared like Bone Crush. Boy, I got God, don't fear none. My line busy, take no calls. Feels like I don't have no flaws. Snakes in the grass, cut those off. Your squad shitty, my bros raw.
Hold on, missionary Mike dropped a 50 piece. We got to run that back. Let's pick it up again.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Ooh, I've been on the flex since flex zone. Neighborhood all in your eardrums. I ain't never scared like Bone Crush. Boy, I got God, don't fear none. My line busy, take no calls. Feels like I don't have no flaws. Snakes in the grass, cut those off. Yo, squad shitty, my bros raw.
Mrs. Lucky Marie, how are you?
Sir Hale speaks.
What's good with you? Hey, good to see you.
I'm in the car, so I couldn't come up. But I am so mad I missed most of this conversation because I really enjoyed that scene. I just wanted to add, I don't know what anyone else said, but not even just taking it off the men. I think the conversation about mothers just needs to be had because I think we kind of pass by the fact that we know what the mother has been to the man. You know, I want to hear more of those conversations. But also, what has the mother been to her daughters? And I think on both aspects, if we could dissect the mother and how mothers, for the most part, are very emotionally manipulative. And I think when you see kids and they start from a young age, what impact does that have on a child since they've been able to talk or before they can talk? They've been constantly emotionally manipulated by the one person in their life that's supposed to love them unconditionally. And as I see, when you get older, that has a lot to do with people having long lasting anxiety, depression, they have the inability to make good decisions. They are also really bad at trusting people. And then a lot of the times we look at people and we meet these people who are still in relationships with their mother to the point where I know when I think of a mother, you're supposed to praise her no matter what. She can be disrespectful. She can be hurtful. You can't even defend yourself because that would be considered talking back. That would be considered disrespectful. That's your mother. You know, honor thy mother, right? So I think that in a sense, just in our community, the Black mother from a certain generation, I would say, is it needs to be addressed in a serious way because it is not nothing that I would encourage people to be. Even if you look at it now, the way that Black mothers think, and I'm not trying to specifically make it Black mothers. I'm just speaking on that attitude because of the Scrappy video. Even in the video, you can see how she's like, yes. You know, like she's trying to hurry and rush him through what he's expressing and not really accepting it. It could be because were around. But I just think that overall, when we're looking at mothers, they are depicted as being very narcissistic and hard to approach, if I'm making sense, because they're so used to being emotionally manipulative to their children. And once it comes off, once you get old enough to understand what's going on and they can't manipulate you anymore, it becomes difficult for them to then get to know you and sit in whatever hurt that they have to sit in because they look at it like, you know, I have a story as well. And I think because they want their kids to kind of understand their stories, they don't really take accountability, like Podcast was saying, because it's first hard because I wasn't able as a mother to tell my story, if I'm making sense. So you have broken mothers who have stories trying to manipulate their children to always be able to control them because they never had control. And I'm not just, you know, throwing them a bone. I'm just saying that's how I look at the whole situation because even in this story, to raise your child in a whorehouse, to you being a mother was just providing food, no matter how ugly it got. Like that's an issue in itself. Like what got people there where the nurturing and community aspect that comes with raising a child is missing from mothers. That's just what I would say.
Listen, Lucky, I wish you were home because I was hoping you came up here because I love your perspective, but this is where so much mama trauma comes from. It is kids are managed and we assume that kids are not attentive and that they don't feel, and kids are absorbing everything. And the issue is not just what they experience. is the silencing of kids with this one simple statement: Mama did the best she could. Right. And I think that as a community, we got to get away from, well, Mama did the best she could. Mama had a story, and we have to own up to the fact that Mama may have done some things that she didn't mean to do, but the results are there nonetheless. Right. And so I wholeheartedly agree with you that we do have to examine this. And I think that it's so important to know that when we examine this, we're not doing this to point the finger. We're doing this because we want our relationships to be better. Would you agree with this?
Yeah, I agree with that. And I also would add, examining mothers is a lot more delicate than fathers. And I know sometimes it's like, go in on mothers, they need it. But sometimes to get through to mothers, you have to approach it a different way than you talk to men. So the message, once, if you ever notice a very broken mother, just like you have a broken father, the father may be too prideful, but he understands he could have did better to be there for his child, even if it was the mother. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever the situation was. The woman, she understands that she was keeping the father away, or she didn't prioritize the more important needs of her child. But to them, it's like, I still made sure you wasn't on the street. You had clothes, so you should be thankful. Because, and sometimes, I don't know if you've heard this or Hale, I've heard in my family, well, it was worse when I was a kid. They compare your upbringing to theirs to
That's the fact.
justify why you shouldn't be hurt, because what about my pain? And at that point, it's like you're putting your pain on your child because I did this for you so you would love me regardless. And the fact that you're addressing me with something, you have to do it a certain way for them to hear you if you truly want them to, be vulnerable. And also, when they are vulnerable, don't always look at their responses as excuses, because reasons don't excuse, but it's still a reason. You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact. This is why I like Lucky on here, because you offer a perspective from a woman's perspective that I value. Shout out to Lost in Translation, Jared Bogarty. What's going on, sir? Good to see you. A shout out to Missionary Mike again. Lucky, I'm gonna do a part 2 of this, and I'm gonna talk about. I did this in a show before about the emotional hooks that mothers put in their daughters. Why a lot of daughters can't be happy in their relationships because of the emotional hooks put in them by their mothers. I'm going to go around and do a part 2 to this, but from the daughter's side as well. I think it's only fair to do that from that side.
Yeah.
And when I do this, I'll send a message to you. And if you can join, I would love for you to join. But we got to start dealing with the real stuff. You know what I mean? Even though the stuff is messy, I don't want to go through my lifetime knowing that there's a pain that I didn't use my voice to speak to.
Yeah.
And it would be good to have the balance of a woman's perspective. So when I do that show, I'd love to have you on that one as well. I'll send you the details.
Oh, sure, of course. And I would recommend, shout out to Kevin Samuels. This is my favorite show is Sister Daughters. So I don't know if you remember it, but I think if also adding the woman side, that's a whole generation that are attached to their mothers, so I think that affects, like you just said, relationships. So
What was the name of the show?
Sister Daughters.
Okay, moderators, put that show in there. Kevin Samuels.
Yeah, I have it though. It's titled something else, but the segment he was talking about, he calls it Sister Daughters, and it was about the women who didn't prioritize the man. This is just it was, and then I'll go. It's just saying that the women who didn't prioritize the man start to look for their daughter for that type of support. And she becomes to get in a relationship. Once she's in a relationship, that forces them to go find one, and their daughters become a sense of stability. So then they start to get into their relationships. And then if you're with a man that can't control it, it was deep, like, because girls called in, it was good. So I would recommend it based on this topic today.
Absolutely. Yeah, moderators, please drop that clip. Please drop that clip. I'm gonna have to do a reaction to it. Lucky, I appreciate you. Listen, final words. I got world class up here. We're gonna wrap up. Do me a favor, call out your channel and then leave the people with something.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, my channel is Lucky Marie. And I would just say I am the person that always speaks from some sort of experience because I come from a family that is very broken. And to me, I think if I just share, maybe, of course, not saying their names, that it can help people relate more to me. So I would just say on this topic, if you are a mother or you are a daughter, I think that this is something you should tell them to watch when he does that conversation and just see what your mother starts to say about the opinions, and then that will let you know if you can have those type of conversations or if they're not ready, because sometimes people sit with demons and you can't just force them off. So that's all I would say.
Well, y'all, the one of the only Lucky Marie's in the building. Y'all show some love. Lucky, as always, I appreciate you. Every live stream, please join it. Every one of them. I know I'm gonna have a lot of them, but every one of them. I want to
Well,
see
the
you on there.
bell is on, so yes.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
I appreciate you.
Bye.
All right, y'all. Listen, that's it. What Lucky said is very important. Yeah, I'm gonna touch on that some. It's a lot of daughters who are the glue to keep people together because she wants to protect mama, but she also wants to preserve her family. And there's a lot of daughters, they got a lot of weight on them trying to keep people together because they see the pain. We're going to deal with that. Shout out to Take Heed to the message. She says, thank you. This show is much needed for my soul. My story is not the same, but the hurt was real for me and my oldest son. And this is why we do shows like this. Thank you so much. Take heed to the message. Please also drop your channel as well. I truly appreciate you. Let's bring up the world class. He has a perspective. Y'all show some love to the world class. He is in the building. World class, what's up, my brother?
What's going on, bro? Good brother. What's up with you?
Hey, good things, man. Thanks for being here.
Our pleasure's on mine, man. First time up, I think.
I think so as well. Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how much of the conversation you heard, but what's your perspective, and what do you want to touch on?
I haven't seen a little scrappy part, but the part I had the most problem with was the suggestion of the sons forgiving the mom. I don't even think that should be a consideration. Reason being that when dads do to daughters what mothers do to son, and I get your perspective. I understand what you're saying. Let's consider forgiveness for the purpose of having a conversation. But when a dad does to a daughter what moms do to sons, they're talking about jail time. So the conversation should be about jail time. Because I think we just slide under the rug how important this conversation is. How many brothers are hurt? How many brothers are going to hurt something because his mom took his power from him? And he got to take an express way to getting his power back through that gun or through that bottle or through that pill. When I've had a lot of mentees in my life. I'm a mentee. And the number one problem that you always run into is that some mother is undermining these boys. Black Man Unfiltered had a video where the mom was taking the boys off the team just because the dad was there. Just because the dad was there. Again, when dads do to daughters what moms do to sons, we talk about jail time. But when moms do it, we want to have a conversation. We want to forgive her. Imagine having to be forced or suggested that you should forgive your abuser. In this country, like I say in my nation, we've murdered 24,114,000 children in 60 years. And that's not even true. That's since 1973. The self-deletion rate for our children between 1991 and 2017 is 73%, while white children's decreased in that same time frame. We brush over this conversation as if it's like little. It's gargantuan. It's extremely big. That mothers in this country are extremely violent. homicidal, neglectful. And the number one thing that's messing our families up, and they keep saying men aren't there, is child alienation. These children are getting their power took from them. You spoke on it, and I appreciate you for that. They're getting their voice taken from them because the children are just an extension of a consumer experience. Children for these mothers is just some crap they can't tell them no. So forgiveness should be off the table. We should be talking jail time. And maybe a hard conversation, but so many different people are going to be free. Freed up by hearing this, by understanding that it's not okay for your mom to abuse you in front of your face. It's not okay for your mom to train herself on how to lie to the guy at the office or at the school so she can get stuff and then punish you and beat you when you lie. Black mothers in particularly are famous for beating the shit out of children. And we act like it's just a regular thing, like it's okay, like it's cool. It's not okay. Everybody has been held accountable but her and the tyrant that she's been as a mother. You want to fix anything, start there. I don't care about all the cute Kevin Samuels conversations, all the stupid manosphere. Start, when it comes to the black female, start with her motherhood and stop there. She's the most homicidal. She's the most neglectful. She's the most abusive. And we want to whine and complain about the end result, but we won't want to start at the door. She's had custody at a rate of 80%, 80 to 90% for the last 60 years. And ain't nobody to blame but her. And there's so many women in this chat, and there's so many women in this country that it's helping you. Y'all had to sit in that. You know how many women have to sit at Mother's Day, on Mother's Day, and watch a woman be praised. And that same woman, her mother, is selling her vagina to other men. You would be surprised at how many chicks you know at work had that experience. You'd be surprised. It wasn't until I started dating and asking questions and listening to women, as the mothers born in the 60s, the stuff that's going on, man, in this country with these mothers is criminal. It's a criminal conversation. And the only time it gets brought up is when some rapper's mom, which is basically most of these dudes, most of the mothers in North America, when they do something crazy and it goes viral, then we have the conversation about it. It's a fad to talk about the number one thing that's causing our people to not want to be married, women ain't nothing but bitches and hoes. Just like all of a sudden we was in the 70s singing singing to these women, and then in the 80s, towards the end of the 80s, they just hoes and tricks. Because when the average abused child who wasn't super talented, who could just rap, when he got his time to be able to speak, that's what they wanted to talk about. The bottom 3 people I ever met in my life, my mom's one of them. But luckily I had a grandmother, my dad's mom, and the matriarch of my family, my mother's grandmother. If I didn't have that, I would have thought it was okay. They had to teach me it's not okay for me to get punched in my face. They create these men and then whine about them. And then nobody want to say anything about it. And if it's not dudes like me saying something, don't nobody say anything. See, I rejected her. I knew everything she said was a lie. But other dudes that are taught some of the things that you said, Sir Hale speaks. Yeah, Mama did the best she could. They stay in a place where it's like, I just gotta accept it. No, it's not. It's not okay. It's not okay for your little 5'2" mom to punch you and you 6'5". Practice being powerless. Practice being weak. But then I'm supposed to go out and save the world. How? It makes no sense. These dudes, our brothers, are getting their power took, and they're finding BS supplementation to get their power back that their mom took from them. These black mothers will sit in front of these children's face and say, I love you, but be child alienating. Running from state to state just because that white man will let them do it. But then will be them same fake people will be in the marches and talk about black power when you destroying the family for your feelings. When you find out that you're not good enough to be the only one. And don't nobody say anything. It's not a small thing. It's extremely important. It's a criminal conversation. It's a criminal conversation. It's not a YouTube conversation. It's criminal. It's not all right to abuse a child for an obese black female to smack a toddler. I'm 37 years old. I'm in Baltimore City. I've never seen another race of woman smack the shit out of their daughter and call her a bitch in public. These females are being destroyed by their mothers. The girls get it the worst, and the pretty girls get it the absolute worst. And that's a male who was abused on a stream that's about another male being abused, telling you the truth. These black mothers need to be held accountable for the King Leopold numbers that they're running in their cemetery wombs and the treachery that they're doing to our children. It's a serious conversation. And that's when when that conversation happens, like it's supposed to, when this conversation is as viral as Kevin Samuels is, or what I should say is, then we can start healing. Only then. Because there's so many people that don't have a voice anymore. Because they've given up.
I just want to let that breathe for a second. I think what you said is huge. I think it's absolutely huge. And I'll tell you why a lot of this hasn't come up. In the black community, you're silenced early. Like, you're trained to shut up. Don't you tell nobody what you do, because you know they're going to take you away. And nobody going, hold on, I'm your mama. I'm the only one that's going to love you. And the worst thing is a lot of the parents isolate their kids. They won't let them go around other folks. They won't let them go with their friends or with their family. And that kid grows up thinking that the only person that's going to love you is your mama. Ain't nobody else going to love you like your mama. And so you grow up fighting love to hold on to pain because we're taught to do that. So I think what you said is profound and it's real. And the honest truth, man, it's hard to say that.
It is.
When you're indoctrinated to love, and you know, this part, it's hard to reconcile that the person you've been taught will love you the most can sometimes be the one that gives you the most pain. It's just hard to reconcile that, especially when you have other women who are telling you, I know you got here, but listen, your mother went through some things, but she still loves you. And there's nobody you can be honest about because your aunties are not going to take your side, right? You know, the daughters ain't going to take your side because it's this indoctrination. And until we can be honest about this, like, we can be honest, but moms be honest too.
Thanks.
The pain is going to keep on cycling. Well, it stops with me, but you understand what I'm saying as far as the generation is concerned. So
Indeed.
I love what you said, man. I think it's profound. It's hard, but you're right.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned the two people that told me it was wrong when I was little. My dad's mom and my mom's grandmother. They said that girl crazy. They said what she used to do, and I was like, okay. So if it wasn't for them, if it wasn't that, then I'd been down the same road as everybody else. But the matriarchs looked at me and like, oh yeah, he the one. And they saved me from that. But how often does that happen? I'm 37. I never drank a day in my life. Never smoked a day in my life. No tattoos, no criminal record. Never wore my pants off my ass. I don't have no boss. I was been vegan since 2012. Started watching TV and listening to the radio in 2007. I'm an anomaly. So I have to speak up. I have to say something. And it is hard, even when you are that. It's hard to say that because, like you said, it starts early. Like, that is the foundation of our community is child abuse. And it's easy for me to say that because I've seen it. But when you actually go down the road and you start talking to people and hearing their stories, think about it. It's not rocket science. If the dad is not there, if all these men, so-called black men, are not in their child's life, then they're not there to damage them. So if our people are so damaged, who's doing it? And you're not allowed to call out the person that's doing it. To have a black mother in the United States is to have Stockholm syndrome. You have to praise and love your abuser. You have to. And that's our problem. They can't be checked and the pain can't stop. We want to come to solutions. Hey, let's stop the bleeding first. You want to talk have a civil conversation where I'm still being cut and attacked and thrown off the bridge. I'm still in a car accident. Let's stop the bleeding first. We want good people. We want people to marry. I need somebody that's not that's not on their way to the emergency room. That CDC report, black females kill 649 children a day. Those black female divestors complain and say that a so-called black woman dies once every 5.5 hours. Meanwhile, a minimum 51% of that is from medical. Let's just say it's one of us killing them. You get killed once every 5.5 hours, but you kill 649 children a day, which is 27 children an hour. And that's what they produce with their freedom. The abuse rate for our children from birth to 18 is 85% abuse and neglect. That's the problem. You judge a tree by the fruit it bears. Y'all understand that 24,114,000 child deletions is more people of our people have died in the womb since the 1973 than the entire time in slavery. It's a mentality. It's a mentality. We are most in danger around black females. I watched Crew Season last night. These females were asked, do they feel protected? They said no. Meanwhile, the most dangerous place for our people is around you. So who are you talking about? Who are you really worried about? Because you kill us more than everybody else. But when your protection is brought up, you mean to actually blame us, and we're not there to abuse. And when you look at the stats, children are more safe with the dad than it is the mom. Because to a dad, that's my legacy. And in reality, there's no place like home. And don't nobody come from women. Everybody come from men. You pass through your mother. You come from your daddy. And that's where the problem coming at. These black females see that baby, you could be around that baby all day, but the second daddy come through that door, you're invisible. So you try to make the baby invisible too. And you're prepared to lie about it. Because there's no place like home. And we all come from men. Nobody comes from a mother. That's not going to change because you convince yourself that it's okay to take God credit. I create life. When it's alive, when it get to you. Because you're in this country where your rights were taken away from you or kept away from you. And what you're going to do is exacerbate with a little bit of options and choices you have at somebody else's expense. And you think don't nobody notice. And it's start to interrupt you when your child can notice it. And you be damned and you're going to make them pay.
Yeah, this conversation is deep. Because I have to end the stream, but I want to do something. If you can, call out your channel and leave the people with something. What message do you want to leave the people with tonight?
Yeah, just come to the world class. Just like I'm calling out sisters now, the ones that are dope, like the one you see right here, and other sisters, I big them up. You know what I'm saying? I give them an opportunity where you can be in these spaces and BS talking points are not going to be, you're not going to be interrupted. You'll have free space. I think being responsible is more important than anything. And if I can open my mouth in criticism, I can open my mouth in praise. So the women that on that game, like Lucky, that will speak up, that will give a great perspective. I've done my best to open a space for them too. So the channel is the world class. I'll end this the same way I end most of my lives. And ain't but two classes on this planet, never been three. You were world class or you outclass. And the question is not which class do you want to live in. The question is which class do the ones coming behind you deserve for you to die in? On your feet, on your knees. Respect the craft. Noble.
Now you know I got to get one of them too, bro. That's dope. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Y'all show the world class some love. That was hot. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, my brother. Let's do this again sometime soon.
Definitely. I got here. I put the email in the back. Okay. Appreciate you.
All right, y'all. Show the world class some love. Yeah, this has been an awesome stream. I'm hoping that you guys have heard something tonight that resonated with you. Again, we don't do this to bash anyone, but if we're going to make change, fellas, hear me carefully. We're no longer waiting for something magical to happen before we take leadership in our communities and in our homes. I'm telling you, as men, as fathers, as husbands, as sons, we have to own our families. When I mean this, I mean we have to take responsibility. If we want our families to become better, we have to speak up, we have to speak out and be unapologetic about it. And anybody who doesn't want to follow, let them go do something else. But for our families, it's time for leaders to lead, because that's what we're called to do. All right, mothers, fathers, sons, and daughters, I hope that you guys enjoyed the show tonight. It has been another one, a deep conversation, but a meaningful conversation. I appreciate everybody, and I pray that you take this message and that it does something for you. We want to see families restored, and families restoration hinges on our ability to be honest about the pain that we are dealing with, and that means sometimes having tough conversations with mama. Until next time, everybody, it's been real. Because Lady Navoa asked, I'm going to play her song. Let's light it up just a little bit. Until next time, I'll see you guys again soon. Peace.
Let it go. 얼어붙어 like whoa. 띵하고 어지러워. I see. 한여름에도 난 겨울. Yeah, 거의 yeah. 너와 있을 때 I swear. 제가 먼저 zero 폭설한 기출들. 꿈에도 I wasn't aware. 나만 빼고 넌 모두에게 참 친절해. 배신감이 들어 단판이 태도 머릿속을 흔드니 ibuprofen 그만해 it's time to stop. 승부욕을 자극하는 style yeah. 알면서도 마음이 자꾸 내게 가. 아마 빠져버릴까. If you want me back I'll tell you I'm sorry. If you want me back I'll tell you stop trying. Yeah, you got me. Let it go. 얼어붙어 like whoa. 띵하고 어지러워. I see. 한여름에도 넌 겨울. Yeah, girl, you're cold-blooded. Yeah, girl, you're cold-blooded. Yeah. Girl, you're cold-blooded. Girl, you're cold-blooded. I'm like frozen 뭐야 모두 stress은 gotta let it go 했어. 소개팅 데이팅 어플 다 깔아 또 보았어. 반대가 끌린대 opposites attract. Don't know about me and you, yeah we fell into the cracks. Yeah 깎고 너네 no cap. 왜 난 안 보여 what's happening. 객관적일 수가 없이 이미 game white flag and waving fast. Yeah I'm leaving back but 말해도 너만 보면 나도 내 맘 I don't know 이거 love a relationship이 헷갈리기만 해 girl. I'll tell you I'm sorry. If you want me back I'll tell you stop trying. Yeah, you got me. Let it go. 얼어붙어 like whoa. 띵하고 어지러워. I see. 한여름에도 넌 겨울. Girl, you cold-blooded. Let it go. 얼어붙어 like whoa. 띵하고 어지러워. I see. 한여름에도 넌 겨울. Girl, you cold-blooded.
Much love, everybody. Have a great night. Go love on your people. Make the change. Let's restore families. I'll talk with y'all soon. Peace.
Yeah, girl, you're cold-blooded.